Sudiksha Konanki is still missing. Mainstream media are just not reporting on her disappearance anymore, and it's like everyone is slowly moving on. However, there is a group of people that are determined to keep her name and face out there, and are insisting that the FBI open an investigation into her disappearance. The only officially named person of interest, Joshua Ryab, has returned home, and Sudiksha's parents asked for her to be declared legally dead after just 11 days. They probably have their reasons, but I feel that this decision has caused people to stop talking about her case. What if she isn't in the water, like many of us, including private investigators and former FBI agents feel? What if she has trafficked and we all just stop pushing for answers? It's heartbreaking to think about. I've been digging into the resort, and the more I dig, the more disturbing information I find. This picture emerged from the resort during the time there was a power failure. This picture shows the guests dining in the dark. Another interesting video that emerged on TikTok is of a guest at the hotel, who arrived just 3 days before Sudiksha went missing. She has a very disturbing story to tell. I stand with her by saying that if any of you are planning a trip, please consider carefully where you are staying, and always move around in groups. Take a listen to her experience.
Give you the full rundown of the awful experience that I had. First of all, we arrived on Monday, March 3rd, and check-in took over an hour due to how many people that were there. I think that they honestly sold out the entire resort, which is probably the reason for the majority of these problems. I don't think that they have the infrastructure or the operations to be able to handle having a fully sold out resort, especially not during spring break with a bunch of college students. So we get there, check-in takes over an hour because the lobby is so packed, which caused us to miss the jungle party, which was the only party we were going to be able to go to, and part of the reason we wanted to stay at a Riu. Last year we stayed at Riu Caribe in Cancun and had a great experience, so we definitely did not expect any of this. After checking in, we were told that there were no more double rooms, even though that's what we paid for because I had given them all away. And so we had to stick with kings, which was fine, whatever, just not what we paid for, you know? We were still able to go out and have dinner, and it was fine. We decided to go night swimming that night, and the power went off around 3 a.m., but only for around 10 minutes, so we thought it would be an isolated event. The next morning, we woke up to no running water, but eventually it did come back on. Later that night around 1 a.m., the power went out again. Leaving us with nothing to do, we decided to go night swimming again. Night swimming was fine, but when it was time for us to leave, we discovered that my friend's purse was stolen, which included her wallet and our room key, because my room key stopped working on the first day and I just didn't have time to go get a new one yet. We went to the front desk to get some help and try and get a new key, but their systems were down, so they weren't able to give us any keys. The staff was extremely rude and dismissive, and some people were even laughing at us because everybody was having room key issues. While you could get in the room, we didn't have keys, so we couldn't do anything. Yeah, and the power was still out. While at the front desk, we saw somebody walking by with my friend's, we saw one of the staff walking by with my friend's purse, so we were convinced that one of the staff members stole it. Her wallet was gone. We did eventually get her wallet back the next day, after like 12 hours when I had to go back down to the front desk for something else. And when we got her wallet back, all of her stuff was like jumbled up around. There was 2 room keys that weren't ours, and all of her cash was gone. So still, while the front desk systems were down, we were unable to get new keys. Somebody finally arrived with the master key after 2 hours almost, and was able to let us into our rooms. Mind you, the power is still out and we have no water, so we basically just had to go to sleep. It was burning up and we couldn't charge our phones or anything. Following morning, still no power, no water, no air. Thankfully, we had an excursion booked, so we spent most of our day doing that. We finally got back around 6 o'clock. There was still no power, no AC. The water was on, but no power. So we had to take showers in the dark. And the left side of the resort did have power, but there was only one buffet and like one other small restaurant over there. So the entire resort had to eat at the smallest restaurant. It was so overcrowded. There was barely any food options because there was just so many people. I do appreciate the kitchen staff trying to accommodate. They brought out extra picnic tables and flashlights and put out some extra food in the hallway, but it was still just a huge mess. The white party was that night too. I don't even think they ended up having it because there was no power, you know? So since we couldn't really do anything, we basically, most of us, some of the group just went to sleep because it was just a horrible day. And a few of us stayed downstairs at one of the bars that was open and just got drinks in the dark. The power came back on around 2:30 a.m. while we were asleep. I woke up, so I plugged my phone in, but everybody else was still asleep. Going without water, electricity, or AC is such a terrible thing. Like, you at least expect the basics, and we didn't even get that. I know we're not at the Ritz-Carlton, but come on. Like, it was ridiculous. And while things can happen, I understand that the power does go out sometimes in Punta Cana. Resorts need to have contingency plans in place to be able to deal with situations like this. And honestly, there was just so many other little things that happened that just kind of ruined our experience. We've been looking forward to this trip for months. It was my friend's first time going out the country, and she had a terrible experience, so I feel awful for that. I am really hoping that someone sees this because they are giving us the runaround right now. I'm sure if you just look it up, you will see tons of other videos on here about this. But if you have a trip planned for spring break, seriously contact your travel agent if you have one and have them move you to a different resort. Because if it's going to be as crowded as it was on the first week of spring break, the rest of the month, you're going to have a terrible time.